What are you doing? That's a damn coaching mistake.
Opinion.
The customer is the one who decides when the future gets here.
Oh, no! The ship is on fire!
You have to check the report.
Are you kidding me? That game was fixed.
And overall infotainment.
I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Crazy Cootie coming at you. Let's go!
Yeah! Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again!
No arguments. Those are called ass tunes.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Great afternoon, Mid-Michigan and beyond, and it is indeed a great afternoon here in Greater Lansing. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Alex Heward. And Alex, these are the kinds of days I want to bottle, and I like to bring to the attention of all of our friends listening in Arizona and in Las Vegas. We have a lot of listeners there. And it's 110 there, so, feel real bad for them.
Yeah, no, this is the time to live in Michigan right here.
Exactly. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graf of Okemos, Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan, side by side on West Grand River. That's 107 years in the automobile business. I was there yesterday and saw Matt Sloan and company and talking about a lot of the developments there with parts and vehicles and some new products, and you'll be hearing about those over the next few weeks. All right, Alex, we want to go right out to our guest line. Very happy to welcome in for Michigan State basketball forward from the mid to late 1980s. He's a two-time state champion coach with Lansing Sexton, a great developer of players, and he is the dad in Father's Day week of Drew and Denzel Valentine. We're talking about V. Carlton, how are you?
Hey, Jack, I'm doing great, man. It sounds like you got some great weather there in Lansing today. I'm in Florida today, so what's your weather like, man?
Oh, it's perfect. It's what they call Chamber of Commerce weather here. What's your temperature there? Just curious.
We're sitting on about 83.
Okay.
And it's partly cloudy.
Okay. Well, it's
sunny.
Warm as it's going to get here today is 79, but it's been less than that most of the day. It's as hot as it's going to be right now. And by the time I'm off the air here, it'll be 75, and then it'll be a beautiful evening and just about perfect, so can't complain. Neither can Steve Nash complain about the play of his megastar. V, how often do we see or could we see a key player play all 48 minutes?
That was crazy. That was some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen in my lifetime of watching basketball. Watching a player go a whole 48 without a break, man. I don't know how he did it. I want to see what was in his bloodstream, man. Oh, that's crazy. Not just playing 48 minutes, but the usage rate. You know what I mean? The usage rate. Yeah. How many times he had to facilitate and pass and defend and rebound. He probably needed an IV bag after the game.
Well, I think back to Wilt Chamberlain, and he actually had a season, V, where he averaged more than 48 minutes a game. More than 48 minutes a game. And you think about that in terms of his NBA career, as storied as that was. But from 1959, when he entered the league, 1958, I guess, was the start of his first year through 1973. So 15 seasons, and he never fouled out of a game, not one time. And he played heavy minutes, always more than 40, and usually, he had the 1 year where he averaged more than 48 when you figure overtimes.
That's amazing. It takes amazing stamina to play that. I remember one time at Michigan State, we played at Wisconsin my senior year.
Yeah.
And I played pretty much the whole game, and then we went to overtime, and I played the 4 minutes of overtime, and I couldn't walk. It took me so much to even get to the bus, man. And I remember the next game we drove, and this is back in the days when we would drive. So we played at Wisconsin, played an overtime game, and we drove to Illinois. The next morning we had practice, and then we played on Saturday. And I had nothing. That was the old Thursday Saturday games.
Yeah.
Not that I was that good anyway, but I couldn't. I couldn't move. It was crazy.
Steve Smith had a period like that in 1990, and he wound up with 36 against Michigan and 39 against Minnesota. 75 points in less than 48 hours, and Judd was not taking him out of the game.
Yeah, you have to be such in supreme shape. I remember Judd used to tell our guards, and he used to always say, "You need to be ready to play for 40 minutes." And he would always say that to DJ and Sam, and especially like when we were running sprints and stuff. He's like, "You got it. You can't come in last. You can't come in second. I want you in first." And I just remember that, man. That's amazing. 48 minutes. That's something out of my realm now. I can't imagine.
That's really funny you tell that story, because I remember once on the golf course, and guys used to love to pull Judd's chain because, how he would poke fun at everybody. But every once in a while he'd get one. He wasn't really good at taking it. And he was talking about, my guards can play 40 minutes. And some guy drove by in a cart, and he said, yeah, too bad you can't coach for 40 minutes.
I tell you, man, Scott, DJ, and Sam, I can't believe it, man. Scott was in 40-minute shape all the time.
Yeah,
like that last year.
Yeah, but, absolutely. He got in better shape as his career progressed. I wanted to ask you about guys scoring 49 at triple-double performance, but he had such attention on him without Kyrie Irving in the lineup, and James Harden, clearly a shell of his normal self, but they had a lot of help from Jeff Green and from Blake Griffin, and, those guys came in and did a tremendous job, especially from three-point range, and Nets don't win without their 44 points, 27 from Jeff Green. But
Jeff Green was out of his mind last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he'll ever play that good again. I mean, at one point he was 7 for 7 for 3. I think he ended up 7 for 8 from 3.
That's right.
And it's funny because Kevin Durant and Jeff Green are both from Washington, D.C. area, from the DMV.
Yeah.
And they both started with the Seattle Supersonics back in 2007.
Okay.
So that's pretty amazing. That Jeff Green had a game like that. Blake Griffin, to me, did not have a relatively good game, but he played good enough.
Yeah.
He played good enough to win. I thought Landry Shamet had a good game.
Okay.
He had some timely shots going toward the end of the shot clock. Landry Shamet played well.
Yeah.
Off the bench for them, and without Jeff Green going 7 for 8 from 3, they don't win that game.
If Kevin Durant does not miss one late free throw, he's got a 50 burger. And when you look at that with the kind of attention that he was facing, and I thought that, P.J. Tucker did an okay job for some of the game. I really don't understand why Mike Budenholzer doesn't switch that up and put Giannis on him more in terms of the length he gives. He is a two-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, but maybe he's afraid he's going to get in foul trouble, or he asks him to do so much at the other end he doesn't want to put Giannis on KD.
I think that's a great question, and I think that I think you'll see Giannis on KD maybe a little bit, maybe not every possession, because you're right, they need him at the other end of the floor, putting pressure on the defense. The way he's got really two moves. He's not. To me, there's a difference between being skilled and being talented. And Giannis is not a very skilled basketball player, but he's very talented, very gifted athletically. Yeah. And his moves are, I'm going to drive to the basket with my head down right. I'm going to drive to the basket with my head down left. And it's up to the officials if they're going to call the charge or not. Because he's the one initiating the contact 99% of the time. So they rely so much on him on the offensive end. You know, I know they had Chris Middleton on KD kind of toward the end of the game, and you know, they tried a few different things, but no, I think you're 100% right. And just watching the game last night, I was listening, you know, to Charles Barkley, and he called Milwaukee the dumbest team in the league.
Right.
Because they would not post Brook Lopez at all.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez is 7 foot, 260, 70-pound man. At times he had Mike James on him. At times he had Bruce Brown on him. You know, he had so many mismatches, and he would be 30 feet from the basket taking jump shots. And they're so long. They're so athletic. You know, post Giannis. You know, post Brook Lopez. You know what I mean? And to me, in the second half, they got back to that stuff that they were doing in the first two games, not passing the ball, going one-on-one, and that's a recipe for disaster.
So what happens now, V? They go back to Milwaukee for Game 6 Thursday night. Would you expect the Bucks will win that and stretch it to Game 7?
I expect the Bucks to win Game 6. I expect it to come back to Brooklyn for Game 7, and a team with the least amount of injuries, the least amount of injuries, and the least amount of who plays better. I can't see KD going for another 49 piece.
Yeah.
He's got to be exhausted, man. If the other players don't step up, man, Milwaukee will take the series. To me, and I was texting back and forth with a friend last night during the game, it looked like Milwaukee had taken a hold of the series. The way they were playing, they were dominating. You know, the game before this, they dominated pretty much, and then they were dominating most of this game until the second half.
Right.
And I told him, I said, Milwaukee has taken a hold of the series. And lo and behold, Kevin Durant has the half that he has, and Jeff Green, and like I said, Landry Shamet, guys are making shots, and they were making the right plays. Not only did Kevin Durant have 49 points, he had 10 assists and 17 rebounds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I said that games 1, 2, and 4, the better teams won. But Game 3, I really thought Brooklyn outplayed Milwaukee, and the Bucks stole it at the end with the last 6 points. And as brain dead as the strategy was at times, I thought the Bucks were a better team last night, but because of some individual brilliance from KD and Jeff Green, Brooklyn somehow left with the win, and they're asking themselves, how do we do that?
Yeah, I agree. Just sometimes it takes those kind of spectacular performances. You know, it would have been a shame if Kevin Durant had that kind of game and they lost. You know, he's always, so far, Kevin Durant has played on teams where he's probably been the best player, but he's had other great players around him. This is the first time that he stepped out of that shadow, dominated a game, and won. To me, this is a signature win for Kevin Durant and Kevin Durant's legacy in the playoffs. I remember when he played at OKC, they were up in 2016. They were up 3-1 against Golden State.
Right.
Went to Game 7, and Golden State beats them three games straight to win the series. And the next year, Kevin Durant goes to Golden State. You know what I mean? Now he's playing. Now you're playing with Steph Curry,
right?
Clay and Dre, and you win 2 titles. You win, you know, the MVPs and different things like that. But this is the first time in a playoff game that he stepped out and had to be that guy, and he got a win. We'll see if he can continue that. That 48 minutes is a lot, Jack.
One thing I would have questioned Steve Nash on, Giannis didn't shoot very many free throws last night. And if I were playing against Milwaukee, especially with the manpower disadvantage, I would be fouling him a lot before the final 2 minutes. I don't know whether it would be every possession, but I would certainly make him expect to get hit every possession, and he would shoot a minimum of 15 free throws, and especially when the game is at the Barclays Center and you've got those fans with the stopwatches and those countdowns. I'd be fouling him on a regular basis and fouling him hard.
Absolutely, and he's proven to be not a great free throw shooter, not even a good free throw shooter in these playoff series. In the regular season, I think he shot over 70% or right around 70%.
He shot 63%.
During the regular season?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
he's below 50 now.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's just amazing to watch him get to the line and struggle. It was a couple games before he got counted out for a 10-second violation.
Right. He's had that twice.
Get to the line, do your routine and shoot the ball. To me, we talked about last time, it's classic overthinking when you get to the line. Yeah, classic.
And now we see injuries in the West. We've got Kawhi Leonard, and he is out tonight and probably for the rest of the series. We don't know how bad this knee injury is, but it's worse than anyone ever thought. And Chris Paul now, even though the Suns have a little break waiting for the winner of the Clips and the Jazz, but he's going to miss some time because he went up in the crowd and didn't have a mask on, and suddenly, we can have easing of restrictions here, but the NBA has not relaxed that, and so he's going to miss some time.
Yeah, hopefully, he's going. First of all, hopefully he's going to be okay. And he's in the health and safety protocols first and foremost. We don't want anything to happen to Chris Paul.
Right.
He's a bit snake bit. If you think about his playoff history, a few years ago, they're up 3-1. Once again, they're up 3-1 on Golden State.
Yeah.
And in the 2017 playoffs.
And I think they would have won. They would have beat him.
I mean, he comes up with a hamstring injury. He's out. Yeah. He knew it right away. And, he's had problems with his shoulder. Yeah. And to me, this was preventable right here.
Yes.
This health and safety protocol, that's preventable. You got to be smarter. He's a veteran. He's been in the league, I don't know, umpteen years, and for that to happen, that was preventable.
Yeah. And
hopefully he's going to be okay, and he'll do his quarantine and be ready to get back to his team. But the situation with Kawhi is much more serious. I heard it's an ACL injury, so yeah, he's definitely probably going to be out. It's not looking good for him at all.
So what chance do the Clippers have going back to Utah now that they still have some heavy lifting to do? And can you imagine LA getting that done without Kawhi?
No, I don't see him getting it done without Kawhi. Kawhi, when we talk about, to me, when we talk about NBA playoff experience, I don't see anybody on that roster with the kind of NBA playoff experience that Kawhi Leonard had, and with the confidence that he displayed on the floor during the playoffs. You're talking about a two-time Finals MVP, taking it to the next level, and he was just picking it up again. And playoff P, Paul George is going to have to come on with his game, and Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris. They're gonna need a full team onslaught to beat the Jazz. But the Jazz are very sure. I like the Jazz. I like the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
I like Phoenix better because they play the right way. They move the ball. It's not a lot of ISO ball. The ball moves 3 or 4 times go side to side, and then they'll go high pick and roll and make a decision versus all this other stuff. So, the Clippers are in big trouble without Kawhi.
So you have the Jazz and the Suns playing in the Western Conference Final, right?
Yes, I do.
Who do you have in the East? Who are the last two standing?
The last two standing. This Philly-Atlanta series is very, very interesting. It's going to depend on the health of Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if Joel Embiid is healthy. I mean, he went 0 for 12 in the second half the other night versus Atlanta. And if he can't do any better than that, they're going to be in big trouble. But if Joel Embiid, we know what he can do. I mean, I saw him get 50 against the Bulls this year. Like, it's incredible if he can go. If he cannot go, I will say Atlanta will get by and win that series. They got enough. They got enough to get by Philly. So we may be seeing the changing of the guard. You could have an Atlanta Milwaukee final in the East.
How about that? You know, we had talked about Chris Paul earlier, and we have been watching for years these commercials with Chris Paul at State Farm, with Jake from State Farm, and with his twin Cliff Paul,
Uncle Cliff.
Uncle Cliff, yeah. So we've been watching all of these spots for State Farm, and if we wind up with the Suns and the Hawks in the NBA Finals, you know where the Hawks play. They play in the State Farm Center, State Farm Arena. So the State Farm people are like deliriously happy of what kind of PR bonanza is going to be unpaid attention for them.
Yeah.
With Chris Paul coming to State Farm instead of State Farm going to Chris Paul. So it's going to be fun to watch these series. And your call on the Nets and Bucks in a Game 7 was?
Nets and Bucks in Game 7.
Assuming the Bucks can beat them in Game 6.
I'll go with Milwaukee.
Okay.
I'll go. They got enough.
Now, is this a Bryn Forbes pick? Are you doing this out of loyalty to your guy, or is this you really think Milwaukee's better?
I think Milwaukee can get it done. If Budenholzer makes the adjustments, they got enough to get it done. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, but so many guys getting fired in this league.
Right.
And different things, man. How can you not make that adjustment in the next game?
I don't know.
I mean, come on, Jack.
all you need to do is hire Carlton Valentine as assistant coach, and the Bucks win the series. That's all I'm saying. So,
all I can say is Stevie Wonder can see that. You know what I mean?
Hey, V, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the games.
All right, take care, Jack.
All right. We will be right back, and we're going to talk some golf. It's our long drive segment every Wednesday. A lot of golf today, previewing the U.S. Open, but Tom Lang will be with us, and we'll be joined live from the Michigan Open, we believe, with the tournament leader after 3 rounds, 75% of the tournament. And then at 4:45, Alex, Carlos Menares from the Detroit Free Press is going to be with us, and he's a golf writer, among other things, and actually covered the U.S. Open the last time it was at Torrey Pines, so he can tell us a little bit about that layout. He's a Southern Californian. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
Did you know you don't need any experience to apply at Dean Transportation? Because Dean provides free CDL training for their new bus drivers, and they will pay to train. Dean Transportation is hiring caring and dependable people as school bus drivers in Lansing and surrounding areas. Train for a rewarding career and safely transport children to and from school with Dean. Positions are currently available for the right candidates. Excellent driving history is required. You will earn $15.20 to $16.20 per hour, depending on location. Dean also offers their drivers a competitive benefits package, including health insurance, 401k, and paid time off, plus flexible scheduling and advancement opportunities with their growing company. Dean Transportation will train you to be a professional school bus driver for your community. Apply today. For more information and to apply, visit deantransportation.com/jobs. That's DEAN, transportation.com/jobs. Dean Transportation is an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome to Be the Referee with MHSAA Assistant Director Brent Rice. After an uproar about officiating in a recent pro football game, an online article appeared with the headline, "Why in the world would anyone want to be a referee?" It's a good question. While everyone in the game, players, coaches, and officials, strive for perfection, only the officials are ultimately expected to reach that standard, and that's simply not fair. So why would anyone want to be a referee? Every referee will give you 3 little words: I love it. They love it because they know how important it is, no matter the level of play. And they want to be right all the time. And most of the time they are. And like a lot of other things in sports, the friendships and relationships built, the memories, they can't be beat. So we'll all encourage people to join us as referees, and for those of you who can't or won't, to stay in your lane when at the game.
Thanks, Brent. You can be a referee. Go online now to register at MHSAA.com. Be the Referee is a production of the MHSAA Network.
Thinking of a new air conditioning unit for your home? Hi, Peggy Doty with Doty Mechanical. A new Carrier high-efficiency AC unit will lower your energy usage and increase your home comfort. Current Carrier Cool Cash offers and available utility rebates mean your savings have never been better.
Call Doty Mechanical today at 327-7777 or visit us at dotymechanical.com for your free estimate. For heating and cooling, the names to know, Doty Mechanical and Carrier, turn to the experts.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
New York City will honor healthcare heroes and other essential workers with a huge ticker tape parade July 7th. Mayor de Blasio says it'll be the first true large parade in the city since the pandemic began.
The people kept us alive. The people kept the city going no matter what. We are going to hold a parade.
Researchers at Yale University are looking at the role warmer weather plays in the spread of COVID-19. A new study in the journal Nature Communication found that temperatures of more than 68 degrees combined with high humidity and increased UV radiation can lead to a moderately lower number of new infections in a single person. But researchers are also quick to point out that public health measures like vaccination, mask wearing, and social distancing are still the best ways to prevent infection. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
You're listening to The Drive with Jack Epling.
So for all the doubters out there, stuff it!
SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Welcome back to The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graf of Okemos, Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan, side by side on West Grand River. Alex, let's go right out to our guest line. Very happy to bring in for our long drive segment, as we've been doing all spring, and hope to continue this for a while. Tom Lang joins us from Michigan Golf Journal. That's a must-read for anyone interested in the sport in the state of Michigan. Tom, how are you?
Doing great. Actually outdoors right now in the Media Center 10 at the Michigan Open at Grand Traverse Resort. Are we coming in loud and clear?
You are, and I want you to bring us up to speed. Now, we are 3 rounds through this 4-day event, and there's a name that some people around here might know top the leaderboard, right?
Absolutely. Michigan State player Bradley Smithson from Grand Rapids, amateur, is leading this professional event at 12 under. Is that right, Bradley? He's here with me. Here, we'll get him on in a second. But shot 1 under today and 12 under total through 3 rounds.
Bradley, congratulations. That is tremendous. Did you see this coming? We know what James Pyatt can do, and a lot of people did not expect to see your name up on top of the leaderboard, but the important thing is, did you expect to see it there?
Yes and no. Coming into this, I wasn't really playing my greatest. Last week, my father and I were up at the state pro-am. I didn't really play great up there, and then got home and practiced a little, and I think I found something. So came up here planning on that, and it's kind of showed. So it's been good.
So what is the difference? You eating something different this week? Is it just this course? Is it that you are sharpened focus? What is it that's made you 12 under par?
A little tweak in the swing.
Okay.
I think I found something, like I said, when I was practicing, that I kind of stuck to the first 3 rounds, and it's been working. So, and the course really fits my eye well. So, all the iron shots and stuff. There's a couple holes out there that's a little weary, but that's about it. So,
Tom, you are there on site. I am not, and so I'm going to let you take over here and tell us a little bit more about Bradley, about his game, and ask him a few questions based on what you've observed.
Well, yeah, he mentioned this course fits his eye, and that might be partially not only his game style, but he's been coming up here since a child. His dad has played in this event a lot in the past. It's been held at Grand Traverse Resort for 3 or 4 decades, one of the longest running tournaments here. So can you talk to us, Bradley, a little bit about that experience as a child? And I'm assuming that maybe even helped you get into golf.
yeah, so I mean, coming up here since a young age, riding around with my dad, it's always been fun, all the Michigan Opens and stuff like that. I was a little too young to really recognize the course, but once I got back up here, I started to remember it. But yeah, I think, like I said, I was talking to someone yesterday, it's kind of cool how it's almost come full circle. Him and my mom have been out the first 2 rounds. They weren't here today, but out watching me, and then kind of how I was younger watching him. So
this tournament's being held on the Bear, the classic Jack Nicklaus design up here. Been around 30 years now. It's always been considered one of the toughest golf courses in the state of Michigan. The owner at the time at Grand Traverse Resort, when Jack designed it, said he wanted the toughest, the longest, the hardest course in Michigan. And maybe a couple of new ones have come along since then that are, but would you agree this is still one of the toughest? But what do you like about it?
Yes, I would definitely agree this is still one of the toughest, especially these first 3 days. I played in the morning yesterday, so I kind of got out of the wind early, but the wind picking up and stuff like that definitely made it tougher.
Okay. Now, you're playing on Michigan State's team, of course, and been a lot of good play from some of your teammates this year and whatnot. What does all of that kind of bring to maybe your game, being part of that, watching that, helping them, being a support system, them supporting you? How does that affect your golf game?
I actually spoke to James last night. He kind of gave me some pointers and he's kind of been here quite often. So talking to him and kind of getting an idea of almost what it's going to feel like, a couple tips, kind of what to think about and stuff like that. And then the support, I wouldn't really say I had the greatest season this past season, but every round I tried to do whatever I could to help the team. So,
Bradley, you've completed your sophomore season at Michigan State. Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So you have a couple years to go. What does it do for you mentally, the awareness of what you're capable of doing at a high level? How do you take this forward and build on it?
I think it's a huge confidence booster. Like I said, I haven't really been playing the greatest, so coming up here and piecing together 3 very good rounds, it's been a huge confidence booster. But kind of going forward, just knowing that I can do it. I think I was telling my dad, I think this is the lowest 54-hole stretch I've ever had in my life. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice knowing that I can do it and hopefully build on that for the coming years.
Tom, I wanted to ask you, who are the primary challengers tomorrow in the final round, and see if Bradley agrees? Who do you think is going to be there with him at the top of the leaderboard tomorrow?
Well, it should be the same threesome that played in the final group today, so they definitely know each other pretty well. Patrick Wilkes-Cryer is from Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
He teaches golf at the Kendall Academy at Miles of Golf, but he's been in recent years the assistant coach at University of Michigan. So we got a little bit of Spartan Wolverine thing going on there. He is at 11 under behind Bradley at 12 under. And then Tyler Kopp, also from Ann Arbor. He's an amateur still. He is just finished up Mercer College down in Georgia. But he's the defending Michigan amateur champion.
Okay.
He edged out MSU teammate of Bradley, James Pyatt, last summer in the final round of the Michigan Amateur. So, yeah, Bradley, what do you know about these guys? Is it a fun group to play in, or are you just all focused on your own game and not even paying attention to the other guys?
Yeah, we had a good time today. I think there were times where we were a little laid back, and then, like always, there's times when you're locked in and focused on golf. So I would definitely agree with you. Those are probably the top contenders. They both played really well today, so it gives them a little confidence going into tomorrow. But, yeah.
Bradley, what kind of response have you gotten the last few days from Casey Luban, Michigan State's men's golf coach? Is he there to watch? Are you talking to him on the phone, or are you just saying, I'm not playing for you now, leave me alone?
No, that's definitely not it. He's not up here right now. I don't know if he'll be up here tomorrow at all or anything like that. But he's texted me the last couple nights, just good playing, keep it going, good start, just keep doing whatever you're doing. So, I mean, I haven't seen Coach in a while, but I know hopefully he's happy with how I'm playing. So
I noticed another guy who could maybe come back and provide a challenge is Brett White. He's currently in 5th place. He is the defending champion. Brett is from Grand Rapids, Michigan area. He's a mini tour player. He actually had a very unusual situation a few years ago where he got an infection, and he got so sick and his brain swelled up so much, he literally had to take 5 or 6 weeks to learn how to walk again. And within 2 years, he was playing golf here at championship level and won it. But you're both lefties, and I made a passing comment to somebody just today. Hey, maybe that's an advantage of this golf course. Do you feel that way in any way, the way the holes are shaped or turned or anything?
I mean, I can see it on a couple of holes. A couple of the misses could be favored for lefties as compared to righties, but someone made that comment to me on the driving range this morning too. But I could see it on a couple of the holes, but I don't think it has a total advantage, no.
Bradley, when you think about Phil Michaelson now, at that age, we're talking about someone 50 winning the PGA Championship and now heading home to play the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. Do you root a little bit more for him because he's a lefty? He is lefty. And do you think that he's representing all left-handed players?
Yeah, I definitely root for Phil. It's always cool to see a fellow lefty. They're becoming more common nowadays, but, I mean, back when I kind of started playing golf, they weren't very common. I had a kind of tough time getting some clubs and stuff like that. But, I mean, I hope I'm kind of someone to look up to for some fellow lefties.
Are you a natural lefty? Because Phil was a natural righty,
yeah,
but he learned backwards from watching his dad swing. Are you a natural lefty? And
so I right-handed. Basically, I'm right-hand dominant, right-eye dominant. So my dad always said he would give me a right-handed club, and I would flip it over and hit it backwards. So I don't really know where it came from, but that's how I started playing golf. So,
Tom, I wanted to ask you about the Michigan Open and what it means, how important it is in the state of Michigan. And I don't know what the prize money is here, but what happens when amateurs win?
Well, amateurs definitely cannot take a winning pot, of course, but they can get merchandise up to, I think, $600 out of the pro shop here.
Mm-hmm.
The more amateurs in the field, actually, the pros prefer it because there's more money to be divided up by less people, I should say.
Right.
In the past, the purse has been as high as $100,000. This year, it's $80,000. And that's still a good amount of money. We got a lot of mini tour players who come off the tour to play in this to try and do well in their state and have some bragging rights. But, they can make some decent money. I think the winning prize, Bradley might be able to know and tell me differently. Isn't it like $8,000 or something like that? Or
I don't know what it is this year, but I think it's probably somewhere around there. I know years past, like you said, when the purse was around 100, I think it was 10,000 for the low professionals. So
I guarantee that the pros in the field know what the first place prize is, but in your case, it's kind of irrelevant. But have you thought about, I could $600 worth of stuff out of this clubhouse I could use?
Yes, it has definitely crossed my mind. I mean, it would be nice.
Bragging rights in the Big Ten, if nothing else, Jack.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and when you look at Big Ten golf, and there's a lot of outstanding golf to be played, you've got a team that I think is building, and now you've got a new short game facility, which is coming in on the other side of Harrison Road that is very impressive looking. You talk about certain programs and certain schools that have advantages in certain sports. I would think when it comes to golf, Michigan State can match up with any.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're definitely very lucky with all the people that support us privately. Like you mentioned, new short game area that's being put in is awesome. Hopefully that'll be ready to go in the fall. And then our big golf facility that we have basically everything we need there. So without some of that stuff, I don't know how well we would be able to compete, but it's awesome to have it.
Hey, Bradley, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We're going to keep Tom on the line here, and we hope that after the final round tomorrow, you're still atop the leaderboard.
Yeah, me as well. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Tom, anything else you wanted to clean up on here before we bring Carlos in?
No, and obviously the U.S. Open is going on this week, and very exciting for a lot of people. And if Carlos is on the line, he's been the sports writer, golf writer at Detroit Free Press for several years.
We're just getting him right now, but I wanted you to talk for just a minute about a course you found last night, kind of a hidden gem.
I did. It's called Bailey Farms, Bahle, kind of an unusual spelling.
All right.
Never heard of it in my life, but came across it through my contact sheet or contact page at my website, MichiganGolfJournal.com.
Okay.
They sent me a news release saying, hey, we got a new owner of this golf course. It was run by the Bailey family for 20 years. They're getting older and retired, and this 24-year-old young man and his dad came in and bought it, and I toured it last night, and I was just blown away.
24? That's got to be the youngest golf course owner in the state, doesn't it?
Easily. Maybe the Midwest, maybe North America. That's something I need to look into because I just learned about it 18 hours ago, but took some photos last night. I swear, standing on the 10th tee, it looks like I'm a drone. That's how high up in the air you are and what the picture looks like.
Well, we have our next guest on the line with us, and do you want to do the introduction on Mr. Menares?
Yeah, Carlos Menares is Detroit Free Press sports writer, has been for probably 10, 12 years now. Grew up in the Southern California area, to my knowledge, and is a great golf writer. He covered the 2008 U.S. Open out at Torrey Pines, and we just thought it'd be fun for our listeners to hear some of his thoughts today.
Welcome to the show, Carlos. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Well, you certainly know that part of the country, and you know a little bit about Torrey Pines. What do you expect this week at the U.S. Open?
Yeah, well, first I'd like to thank Tom for saying I've only worked at the Free Press for 12 years, so half of my life. So you know, that's a nice compliment. Yeah, Torrey. So I covered the 08 Open, and let me tell you how tough it is. You get a chance when you cover the U.S. Open. The USGA gives the sports writers a chance to get into a media lottery to play the course.
Right.
You know, the Monday after the tournament. After being at that course, first time I'd seen it in 08, I didn't even want to think about being in that lottery. It was so brutal, so windy, a a lot of elevation. It doesn't look that hilly on TV, but a lot of elevation, thick, rough. It's just a brutal course, and that's what locals say about it there. I mean, it's a public course and it's city owned and it's awesome, but it's just a really tough test. So I'm going to expect not really great scores this week.
What kind of player are you? What do you normally shoot, and what would you have shot if you'd had a chance to play on that Monday morning?
I'm right now. I would peg myself somewhere around a 13, 14 handicap, maybe. So good. I can make a couple birdies, and I can just come back and make a couple doubles just as well. So I don't play that much anymore is the problem. But at my best, I was about an 8 handicap, and I guess at that time, I'm a pretty accurate driver, so if I'd managed to keep it in the fairway, I think I might have shot mid-90s, 90. I would have been happy with a low 92. I would have been ecstatic.
Yeah, a lot of guys who say that they shoot in the 80s in a course like that, and they're up to 110 or so. So that's pretty good. Tom, if we had a match and you and Carlos went out and played, who'd win?
Oh, Carlos would win. I'm around a 17.5 handicap.
Okay.
I shot a 92 yesterday on the Wolverine up here, the Gary Player design course at Grand Traverse.
Yeah.
Carlos, I don't even remember though if you and I have been in a group together.
We have. I think it's been a long. Actually, I think it was at the Bear during the Michigan Open once upon a time, a long time ago. I want to say, and I think, Jack, what Tom is saying is he's going to lose, which means I'm going to have to give him some strokes.
More strokes.
And right around the 13th hole, he's going to want to make it interesting and start pushing and pressing the bet.
Yeah, I've seen that act from him before, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Both liars, but that's okay.
Carlos, I want to go back to 2008, and this was a Tiger triumph, right? So you certainly saw the Tiger Woods effect, what it can mean to a major championship. And what do you remember about that part of it? And do you think we'll see Tiger Woods playing in another U.S. Open?
What I remember about it was I had to eat a lot of crow because I wrote a column saying Tiger has no chance to win the U.S. Open that year.
Yeah.
I think he took it personally, and he just wanted to prove me wrong. Really, is what motivated him. But he hadn't won the Open in a while, and his knee was messed up. I don't know what number surgery that was on his knee at the time.
Right.
We saw him hobbling around during practice rounds. And anybody who's been to Torrey, and it's just such a tough test, and walking through the rough and all this other stuff and weird stances and lies, there was just no way. It seemed no way that this guy, if he makes the cut, if he's even in the top 20, it's going to be an achievement. And boy, I mean, it took one of the most spectacular, memorable tournaments in major golf history. It was amazing to watch, and I remember the one thing I remember was he makes a huge putt on the last hole, right, on the 18th on Sunday. And I remember Rocco said, he told us he was watching it on TV in the clubhouse or somewhere, and he said the one thing he knew about that putt, and it was a long one, like 20 plus 30 feet, he said, the one thing I knew about that putt, it wasn't going to be short. And that was Tiger. He just, he was always going to give himself a chance. He wasn't going to leave putts short. He wasn't going to, and he was going to go for it. It was just spectacular. It was an amazing, and on Monday, people, they had the whole, 18-hole Monday playoff, so there weren't as many spectators coming back. So it was kind of a quiet affair on Monday, but we, followed him for the whole round, and it was kind of a weird, eerie feeling, but it was really cool to see him, gut it out and play a whole nother, 18 holes and come out victorious.
Tom, do you believe the story that after Tiger holed out in the Monday playoff, he screamed, "Take that, Menares"?
Oh, yeah, everyone heard that on TV for sure. But, Carlos, I can't remember if it's tied exactly to the 2008 Open or a different situation, but you've got a fun Reggie Jackson story that I wanted you to share with the listeners.
Oh, yeah. So this was funny. On the Monday playoff, like I said, not that many people came back for it. It's a work day and everything. And so we're walking the course. It's, like the media, and it's in the morning, so nobody's on deadline. Everybody's out there, the full phalanx of the media corps is out there. We're all walking around, dozens of us, following these two guys. And at one point, like we're crouched down, by the ropes, and someone says something, a couple guys behind me, and he says, "Is this okay?" or something. And I look back, and it's Reggie Jackson. He's inside the ropes. He somehow wrangled some kind of inside the ropes media pass. And he just, even whatever it was, 12 years ago, he looked so, Reggie to me, I'd never seen him in person before. He was always this bigger than life character.
He's short. He's very short.
He just looked like an older man. He was wearing a little New York Yankees golf cap, and he was very humble. He wasn't really sure of himself and where he should be sitting or standing. So we got to kind of walk with him, and it was just one of those weird things of like, wow, Reggie Jackson. I think he lives in San Diego, so he was around. But it was just really neat to walk around with him for a while and keep myself from asking for an autograph.
Yeah, I saw a photo of Reggie Jackson and Aaron Judge side by side, and there is a full head difference in height with the two of them. I had a question for you, Carlos, and when you think that you cover a lot more than golf, certainly you write a lot about the Lions and getting ready to get kneecapped this year from Dan Campbell and all the other things that you do for the Free Press. I hope this doesn't put you in a bad spot, but what has happened to golf coverage in the state of Michigan? Fortunately, we have Tom Lang and Michigan Golf Journal, but I go back to a day when the great Fred Stabley Jr. was an institution here in mid-Michigan. He's the one who actually gave Magic Johnson his nickname, but he was one of the great golf writers. And then Jack Barry, who was president of the Golf Writers Association at the Detroit News, and my buddy Jack Saylor, who I can thank for getting me on a lot of courses around the country. And now it doesn't seem to be the same. Why?
Well, it's not a big secret, probably, Jack, in that the metrics have all figured into how people cover things. The news media, it's just changed, right? Look at not only print media, but digital print, now is where it's going, and it's changing. It's technology, so we can measure how much people are reading our stories, reading certain subjects. It's a little bit of a chicken and the egg thing. Do people read more certain subjects, or do they read them because we're giving them to them and ignoring some other subjects sometimes? And it's a feeling out process. Nobody has the perfect, clue of this. You write this and people will read about it. And certainly we know, subjects like Donald Trump, anything with Donald Trump in it last year was huge the last few years. But golf coverage is one of those things that's never been one of the big, football, NFL, baseball beats. And so I think now we have to be a lot more selective about what we cover in golf and any other sport, auto racing and whatever else it might be. There's always an audience, I think, for a good story, an interesting story that resonates with people. You can write about feather bowling, and people will read it if you tell them an interesting aspect. I think Tom, when he's talking about this, the golf course he's found, that's a unique thing. Are we going to write a course review about any random course? No, it has to have kind of a unique aspect to it. So, unfortunately, golf, and there was I think it was last year, a couple of years ago. I believe it was one of the golf. I forget who it was. Golf Digest. Someone wrote a story. In fact, it might not have been Golf Digest, but it was a story about where the golf coverage has gone, and specifically if you attend a major these days, how different that landscape looks. Where we used to send, we'd go to the Masters, and Drew Sharp and I would go, 2 people at the Masters. Now, most major papers don't go. Big papers, Dallas Morning News, Chicago Tribune. It's a whole different ballgame now, and it's changing. It's just going to be the way that the audiences react and what we can tell from those audiences.
Hey, Carlos, thanks so much for joining us. You got a prediction, real quick? Who wins it?
I'm going to say Phil Michaelson, hopefully, so he completes the Grand Slam, the career Grand Slam.
Okay, you're going to put William Hill U.S. out of business with the amount of money that's been bet on him. Tom, what's your pick for the U.S. Open? Who wins?
Well, I think John Rahm's got a lot of motivation.
John Rahm. Sounds good. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate you joining us on the long drive. We'll be right back with Jim Stark.
Hello, this is Mary Stucco with Education Unfiltered. Education is so important, and it doesn't mean you have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD. It's really about what is best for you and what you need to take, whether it's a certificate or studying something in the trades or you need an associate's degree to further develop yourself. There's a great opening for people at all ages and at all stages of life who are looking to go back into education and redevelop themselves. Check out my latest podcast with Central Michigan University's Actuarial Science Program. Like and subscribe to Spotlight Podcasts on our YouTube and Facebook pages and watch all my episodes, or you can listen in on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play by simply searching Education Unfiltered. This is Mary Stucco. See you soon with more conversation on Education Unfiltered.
When it's your moment, that once-in-a-lifetime moment, you don't just want jewelry. You can get that anywhere. You want a memory that will go down in history, your moment. We're Medawar, crafted with exquisite style, quality, and love, so your present will be stunning every time you look at it, every time someone notices it, and they will notice. We've devoted our lives to this art, and we're proud to share it with you. The gift you want to give is here.
Medawar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, Portage, and Brighton.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. President Biden is holding a news conference in Geneva after his big summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
President Putin and I had share a unique responsibility to manage the relationship between two powerful and proud countries.
The talks lasted about 3.5 hours. Putin described the summit as very constructive and said there was no air of hostility. Biden says the U.S. and Russia can have a good relationship with each other.
We should be able to cooperate where it's in our mutual interest. And where we have differences, I want President Putin to understand why I say what I say.
He was candid with Putin about human rights and cyber attacks. Biden's choice to head the Federal Trade Commission is ready to move in. Antitrust expert and Columbia Law School professor Lena Khan was officially sworn in Tuesday. This appointment is seen as a major shift toward more aggressive enforcement, signaling a bipartisan desire to impose more regulations on big tech giants like Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. Lisa Taylor, NBC News Radio.
Michael Patrick Shields here with Matt Rhodes at Dusty's Cellar. 2020's gone. There's some things I won't miss, but there sure are some things here I want to hold on to.
Yeah, as unusual as 2020 was, there'll be one constant for 2021, and that our 6 for 60 wine club is going strong and will continue to do so for the upcoming year.
I know you added some options, the Pinot Grigio, the Rosé, Parducci, and all the reds and whites and mixed. Going to do the same this year?
Absolutely. We'll carry on with all the variations of the club we offered this past year, and we'll be looking for more creative new club ideas as the year goes on.
I do like those top shelf, top 100 selections. You have over 100 wines offered at $15 or less, but they're all highly rated by a wine publication. Will you keep that up?
Absolutely. 100 wines, red, white, rosé, dry, sweet, whatever your taste, we'll have a wine for you at $15 or less, a highly rated wine, a great value.
Cheers, and you can join me in the Dusty's Cellar 6 for 60 Wine Club. Just pop on dustycellar.com and have a look, or go on into the store on Grand River in Okemos, just a little east of the Meridian Mall.
Cheers, Michael.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers held on for a 4-3 win over the Royals in Kansas City last night. Jonathan Scope smacked a 2-run shot, and Casey Mize notched his 4th win of the season. Detroit goes for the series sweep this afternoon, sending Tarek Skubal to the mound against Kansas City's Brady Singer. The Tigers made several roster moves yesterday, including placing pitchers Matthew Boyd and Alex Lang on the 10-day injured list. Detroit called up relievers Willie Peralta and Miguel Del Pozo and designated Bo Burrows and catcher Wilson Ramos for assignment. The Tigers also called up star pitching prospect Matt Manning. And Kevin Durant played every minute of Game 5 as he tallied 49 points, 17 boards, and 10 assists in the Nets' 114-108 win over the Bucks. Tonight, the Clippers take on the Jazz, and the Hawks visit the 76ers.
This is it right here.
Combining a team of reporters, columnists, and commentators.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Are you serious? Jack Ebling has brought thought-provoking discussion.
What are you doing? That's a damn coaching mistake.
Opinion.
The customer is the one who decides when the future gets here.
Oh, no!
The ship is on fire!
You have to check the report.
Are you kidding me?
That game was fixed.
And overall infotainment.
I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Crazy cootie coming at you.
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again.
No arguments. Those are called ass tunes.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
Whoa!
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. All of our Wednesday shows brought to you by Graf of Okemos. 107 years in the automobile business, Graf Chevrolet and Graf Nissan. Stop and see Matt, Mark, and Greg on West Grand River. They will take great care of you, as they have on all 7 of my leases and purchases. Very happy to welcome in a visitor to the studio, and that would be Jim Stark. He is Executive Director of the Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy, dedicated to the preservation of sports in the state of Michigan, and he is also correspondent for us on the Pistons and the Detroit Tigers, the up and down Tigers. And Jim, a lot of big news with the Tigers, but did you hear the bad news?
Which part of the bad news did I miss?
Well, the petition to the American League. Did you hear what came down this afternoon about this? The Tigers had petitioned to have all of their games with the White Sox now converted to games with the Royals.
Hey, can we put a little rim shot in here so I can see when he's going to set me up, like a little drum or something I could see he's getting ready to set me up like that?
Was rejected, so they're going to have to play Chicago at some point moving forward, but as long as they can keep playing Kansas City, that's a good thing.
Well, now that we're getting towards the middle of the end of June, first off, why is there no Tiger game on this team? Why am I watching men kicking balls with their feet when I got a Tiger game coming down to the 8th inning here?
Hey, they just scored a goal. That doesn't happen often in soccer.
The 9th inning, the Tigers are trying to hang on.
All right, I think we can do this just for Jim. Put this on.
If they win today, Jack, they're back to 500 for the month of June.
Yeah,
despite
how about
those
that?
3 losses against the White Sox. But getting back to your point about the Tigers and where they stand in baseball right now. We're getting down to the end of June. Now we're starting to look at that end of July, the trading deadline, right?
Yes.
Guess what I'm going to start doing now from now until the end of July? We're going to start marking the trader or the sellers and the buyers. Okay?
Yeah.
Guess who I saw yesterday in one of my sources as a potential seller this year? The Yankees.
Yeah, how about that?
Can you imagine them as a seller?
No.
With all the money they've invested and all the superstars they have and all those huge contracts, they'd be a seller at the trading deadline?
Can you believe that?
I can't. I can't believe Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner would sit on their hands and allow that to happen. I think something's got to happen before that comes to fruition, because they've got guys that can move. But the Yankees were supposed to be it was a foregone, the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series, right? Put your money down right now.
Yep.
And so far, the Dodgers have held up their part pretty much, but not the Yankees.
34-32 for the Yankees. They are 3rd in the American League East, a half game ahead of Toronto. They have been 4th for much of the past week, but ended that losing streak. What do you think the Yankees' chances are of pulling it together? We have a long way to go.
I think
more
very
than half
good.
the season.
Very good, because they've got so many good players.
Yeah.
But the pitching is the biggest problem, and the pitching, they don't have a lot of depth in pitching. They don't have anyone to go down and get to bring up. And the pitching that they thought they had is letting them down. So that's why I see if they do start making moves, they're going for pitching. And so guess who they might come knocking on the door before you know it, right?
Yeah.
Right now, the two guys the Tigers have who'd be most likely to be available, Matthew Boyd and
Spencer
Turnbull are both hurt.
Right,
So right now, but another 2 weeks and they're back. I would not be surprised at all to see the Yankees come knocking on the door. Now, I'll tell you this. The price tag on pitching this year should be higher than ever because so many pitchers are getting hurt. Because remember, last year, they've already pitched more this year than they did all last year, right? So this is like unfound territory now for a couple of years. You're going to see more and more injuries, so pitching will be a premium. So if you have some pitching, guess what? You can name your price.
Well, let me tell you why I think this is not going to work with the Yankees and the Tigers, if that is the Tigers' mindset that they're going to soak the Yankees. Because when the Yankees are close and they need one more piece to get over the top, then they will pay. But where they are right now, look at them in the standings. They're 8 games behind Tampa Bay. They're 6 games behind Boston. Their chances of winning, they don't see it as, hey, we're one starter away from winning the World Series. So, yeah, would they like to get another pitcher? Absolutely. Are they going to give up their best prospect? No.
Depends on how desperate they are. If they've got the win this year or else, guess what? They become desperate right now.
Yeah.
If they're waiting till the middle of July to see how they're doing, then you're right. It's a different story. But the name that I keep hearing being bandied about for the Yankees is Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
And if they get Max Scherzer, then having another pitcher like Turnbull or Boyd makes more sense because now they've got the pieces they need. So we'll see. But I just think the fact that the Yankees are even in the discussion as being a seller, I think is just shocking. So, but the Tigers again, they open up another one run or another lead, added their lead to 6-3 now. But right now they are starting to win with their young players. That's the good news, Jack. They're not winning with Cabrera. They're not winning with, as a matter of fact, they're starting to cut out some of these older players and letting their young guys play. That's the good news. Another quality start today by Derek Skubal. Last night, Mize had a good game. They saved the bullpen. That bullpen got beat up. Record this week: 9 pitchers in a win this week. Never before the Tigers ever pitched 9 pitchers in a win.
And that didn't include Harold Castro.
Nope. The bullpen was exhausted. So Mize comes in, and now Skubal saving the bullpen a little bit. That's what you need out of your top line starters.
Remember when we used to have a 25-man roster, and you might have 10 or 11 pitchers?
Maybe 11. 11 was pushing it.
Yeah.
Good teams had 10.
And you'd have 15 position players. Now it's
flipped.
Flipped almost.
It's flipped. You have. That's why you see Eric Haas playing left field. Last night with no backup catcher. No backup catcher. So the game has changed without doubt. That's why you got 26 players now, and I would not be surprised in this next negotiation to see 27 players on the roster. That might be something they might work on.
Well, I remember when Mickey Lolich pitched 376 innings.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see anyone pitch 276 innings this year?
No, I don't. I think if you see someone around 200 innings, that's been a lot. I think 220 innings will be the max you'll see most pitchers throw. It's just, again, 2, 3, 1 because that's the trend in baseball the last 10 years. But number 2 this year, especially because of the limited pitches and limited innings last year. So, no, it's a different game. But I will say this, though, Jack. Tomorrow, a historic day for the Detroit Tigers.
Okay.
The third of the trio is going to make their first start for the Tigers. Matt Manning starts tomorrow in California.
I thought you were going to say Bo Burrows. Oh, sorry about that.
No, you saw my note about Bo Burrows.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Can we still slop Bo Burrows on Al Avila, even though he wasn't the GM?
No.
He was still part of the brain trust.
True.
He was still part of the team that said, let's
draft.
But
that was a Dave Dombrowski call, wasn't it? Power arms, right?
Yeah, that's probably true. Yep, that's true. But that's what Avila's drafted, though. So, okay, I can't. But the fact that Bo Burrows, the 22nd overall pick in 2015, is now been designated for assignment. That's the second pitcher they've given up now in 3 weeks that was supposed to be part of the future, right? If you add Franklin Perez, who was part of the Verlander trade, now that's 2 of tomorrow's building blocks the Tigers are giving up on. And Funkhauser's another one who might be on that verge, even though he's kind of developed as a relief pitcher, so I'm not giving up on him. But let's face it, Manning and Skubal and Mize are the guys now.
I want to go back to this whole thing about starting pitching, okay? Now, a quality start is 6 innings.
6 innings, three runs or less in 6 innings.
So the average pitcher, if he doesn't have any injury problems, doesn't miss any starts, is going to start 32 times.
Maybe. Yep. Maybe 32. Okay. Yep.
So if you have 32 quality starts, you don't have any bad outings, you never get shelled. 32 times 6 is 192. That's 192 innings out of a season with no extra innings is 1,458. That is less than 1/7 of the season that your star pitcher is pitching in.
Yep.
And it just makes you wonder if 6/7 of the season or more, the guy's not even going to be on the field.
Well, don't you wonder why you pay Garrett Cole that, 14-year deal for $507, whatever. Pitching, especially, because you only play at most once every 5. Remember what the rotation used to be 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You had 4 starters. Well, now it's 5, and some teams 6. And you answered your own question, because earlier you said, why, look at the expanded roster of pitchers. That's why.
Right.
Because they're pitching less. 200 innings is a lot.
Right.
The idea of somebody throwing 376 innings, Jack, is so bizarre. And what did I just hear the other day that who? Oh, it was a retrospective on Nolan Ryan. One game he pitched 260 pitches. Nolan Ryan.
No.
260. Look it up. Look it up.
You wouldn't get half that many pitches in today.
If you got half that, they'd be worried to death your arm would fall off. 260 pitches by Nolan Ryan.
Well, we know that Lolich won 3 games in the 68 World Series. We know that Denny McLain started 3 games in the World Series. But when you think about Jim Mudcat Grant, who we talked about, you were a guest on Press Pass Sunday night, just passed. And Mudcat started 3 games for the Twins in the 65 World Series, beat the Dodgers twice, and then Koufax took over in Game 7. But that was not that unusual at that point.
Well, and think of the 2 pitchers I can think of that won 3 games in the World Series in recent times.
Yeah.
Both Randy Johnson and
Madison Bumgarner.
Thank you. They came in and relieved.
Yeah.
They didn't start 3 games and win 3 games. They came in and filled, and they got 3 wins.
Right.
They didn't start and complete 3 games.
They can start Game 1 and Game 5, and maybe they come in Game 7.
Maybe. And that's how they got it. Yeah. Right. So, no, and that's never going to change, Jack, because I don't think the pitchers have the training they had where they build up their arms and the times that they're 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Now, it's just all along the amount of innings you pitch is less. All along from the time you're 10 years old to the time you're 38 and ready to retire.
Yeah. Would you like to see that change, or do you think that it's just a kind of a...
I don't know that it can change. It's the way things change. How are you going to change it,
Yeah.
Pitchers are making... It's not like the money's not there.
Oh, no.
The incentive's there. But because there's so many other factors now, agents...
Yeah.
Right? You didn't... Did Mickey Loach even have an agent? Probably not. Maybe McLean had one. That was probably it, right?
Have you ever talked to John Smoltz about this?
No, not about the agents.
Well, we've had him on the show.
Yep.
And he makes a big thing about pitchers' injuries. And he says the reason is they don't pitch enough.
That's it. But the agent is working against them pitching,
Absolutely.
Right? They're saying, no, I want to preserve my meal ticket. They won't say that. It's their client. But no, they don't. For the time they're 10 years old, they don't pitch enough. For one thing, they're not playing as much baseball. When you and I were young, we played baseball all the time.
Yep.
Organized. The only time you see kids
put your glove
playing
on your handlebars and you'd say, I'll see you at night. And then, maybe you make it back for dinner.
You
maybe
made
you
your own game up. Now kids play organized baseball.
Yeah.
They don't practice on their own. They only play when their teams play. So right away, that's a big dramatic cut in the amount of innings you pitch. You don't work as much at it, right? Because for one thing, there's a lot more to do for kids. We didn't have all the stuff they have to do now. We played sports. That's what we did.
Yeah, we were outside
playing sports
from the time we got dressed.
Yep.
Until sometimes we couldn't
Somebody
see.
chased us in, exactly. But now they split their time between other hobbies, video. There's too many distractions.
Well, look what you got in front of you. You got your computer opened up, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Didn't have that.
Nope. So I think to answer your question,
3 channels on the television.
It's impossible for it to change. I think is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. All right, so you have maintained that the Tigers should be judged after the first 20, 25 games of the season?
That's my contention, yep.
Okay. And I have maintained that this recent surge is not an anomaly. They have definitely improved. But that I don't think we can expect this hot streak to continue. And they're somewhere in the middle of those two levels. And we'll see what happens in the second half of the season. But let's talk about the last 81 games because now we are into the second 100.
Yep.
When they get to the midpoint of the season, they have 81 left. What would be a good record for the Tigers the second half?
Oh, I said earlier, I know you laughed at me, I said 500. If they can play 500 baseball in the second half of the season, to me, that's tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah.
Now, again, if they win today, which it looks like they're going to, if you take just May and half of June, they played 2 games over.
Right.
Okay? But again, I'm not pulling this out of my hat. They didn't have Mize. They didn't have Skubal. They didn't have a resurgent Jonathan Scope.
Right.
They didn't have Willie Castro, who's settling at second base.
Didn't have Haas.
They didn't have a developing outfielder in Grossman. Right. He was there, but
he was there from the beginning.
But look at his stats the first month. Okay, so there's factors. Badu is starting to develop into a real contributing ball player instead of a flash in the pan. So so it's not just, and look what they've removed. They've removed a lot of dead wood. The Jacoby Joneses and guys like that who are clogging. So it's not the same team it was 1st of April.
I'm not saying that they're not better because they are better.
Did you hear me? Did I tell you my stat? Did I send it to you about the Tigers are the 4th in terms of starting pitching, in terms of quality starts, the 4th best in the American League. No, you don't win championships for that, but at least it's something you can point to say that's improved.
Right. Shepard brought that up to us on the show, and he's big on that.
I think he talked about it last night, Yeah.
So, that's another positive. I think one of the things, and you see it sometimes with young teams, Jim, when they get these guys up, they're just playing.
Right.
They're not playing with any pressure.
Right.
They're just out there. And as they get around the league a little bit and people start to know what they can do, I don't think Eric Haas is going to hit this way the whole season.
I'm going to argue with you. He's not hitting 400.
He's hitting the ball out of the park.
He's hitting 260.
He's not going to get those kinds of pitches that he can drive.
But maybe
he's never done it.
Maybe he's hitting their pitches. Maybe he's a better because he's hitting 260, which any major leaguer can hit 260 shouldn't be in the major leagues, right? So 260 is not out of the realm of possibility.
That's half the Tigers team.
Okay. I know it is, but I'm just saying it's not unheard of for him to just continue. Now, the power would go down, absolutely.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but they're winning right now without his power, right? They're winning like today. They won on base hits, they won on defense, and they won on taking advantage of the Royals' mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? And good pitching. The bullpen is much better than it was the first month of the season as well. So so I'm not making this up, but Jack, I get you. I try to pull your chain sometimes with how good they're going to be. But frankly, right now, look, Michael Fulmer. He wasn't anywhere close. He was a starter when the season started, and now he's become a very, very quality closer in the last month or so.
Yeah.
So there's changes, though. It's not the same old is my point.
Well, I think one of the untold stories here, and maybe it's hinted at a little bit, but I think A.J. Hinch deserves tremendous credit. And as you know, I was a Hinch skeptic when he came to Detroit, but I've been watching him pretty close. I'm kind of waiting for something to pounce on, and he's really impressed me.
He's very calm. I think he's a good communicator.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And I think Gardenhire was a good communicator, but I think Hinch communicates differently. He communicates better with the younger players.
Yes.
Gardenhire communicated with the guys that were more his era.
Yeah.
Where Hinch communicates with everybody, especially the younger players.
I want to take the opportunity to talk to you about the guys you saw at West Michigan.
Yeah.
Because
good thing I went there.
Not there.
Huh?
You really knew that they were headed to yours.
I knew it wouldn't be long.
So what can you tell us about Darren Dingler?
Well, I think I told you. Oh, I haven't told you. He was the most impressive of all the players I saw. He's 6'3", and he's a real 6'3". He's not 6'1".
Okay.
Big, guy, broad shoulders.
Built like Lance?
No. Lance was a V shape.
Yeah.
Dingler's square.
Okay.
Okay. Very solid looking, but not heavy. Not like a who some of these catchers are kind of look like he looks like Perez, frankly. Okay, but he's very quick on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
I saw at least 3 snap throws to first base in my 7 innings. You can get them, but I'll tell you right now, those base runners were on their toes.
He cuts their lead.
Exactly. And he's so quick. I didn't see a pass ball. He's quick on his feet. He's got a great arm, and he's a good hitter. He was actually the second leading home run or RBI guy for West Michigan when he left. But consistent, not flash in the pan power, but base hit, doubles up the gap, which that's really what you want out of a young hitter is consistency.
Would you compare him in terms of his size and physique to another guy who was a big catcher for his day in Bill Freehan?
Yeah, I think that's a better comparison because Freehan was a square guy, right? He had broad shoulders, but Lance was a V. Lance got wider as he went up.
Right.
But very similar to Freehan. But again, very traditional style. He doesn't lean back on one leg, which like some of these younger catchers do. So I think you'll like Dylan Dingler a lot, and you'll see him now in Erie. I think there's a really good chance if they have a good second part of the season, both he and Torkelson could be Tigers next spring. If
they be September call-ups?
Only if they go to. I don't think they'll call him up from Erie. I could be wrong about that.
Now guys are AAA is something else.
But
Double A is.
I think it depends on where the Tigers are.
Okay.
If they're getting blown out, no. If they're playing meaningful games, even not fighting for the playoff, but at least meaningful, and they can get good experience, yes. If they're just coming in to fill spots, no. But Torkelson, I was watching even closer, obviously, when I was in West Michigan,
right?
And he looks like a ball player. He's very athletic. They had him at third. He hitting wise, I wasn't overly impressed. He did really rake one to left or to right center, and the center fielder made a great catch on it. But that was the only hard ball. Third base, he made a good play going in the hole towards shortstop. Goes to double the guy off second base and launches the ball in the right field.
Did Fulmer just hurt himself here? I'm looking at this. They showed the replay, and
I hope not.
Struggling a little bit.
Well, he wouldn't be the first this week. They lost 2 the other night. But I guess is this live now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? They're going to be very. If they thought he was hurting, they'd be out there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but as far as his
thought this game was over, but that looks like there's an RBI shot down the line. So it's 6-4 now.
I always say, Jack, if they close this game out, not when they close it out.
Yeah.
So Torkelson launched the ball in the right field, error, right? So I was disappointed. But later on in the game, he made 2 in a row, made 2 major league third base plays.
Well, that's good.
Major league. And so
why is he playing third base?
That's where they want him. They drafted him. They said he's a third baseman. I think third baseman with his skill set are harder to come by than first baseman.
Yeah.
And so that's all I can figure, because to me, the last thing you want to do is have a guy learn two things: hitting, major leagues pitching, and a third base position. So, but he's in Erie now. So now you got 3 of them to watch: Dingler, Torkelson, and Riley Green.
All right, Jim. This is going to be fun to watch the rest of the way. He's given us a reason to watch baseball.
Yep.
And Tigers with a win in this game and close it out. They're 1 out away from another sweep of the Royals, and they'll be back to within 10 games of 500.
One more note about the transaction this week. The Tigers released Wilson Ramos.
Yes.
And if you remember, Ramos was the offense, the Tigers, for the first. He had 7 home runs, I think, in first 2 weeks or so. But because you're in my favorite, as they say, is developing as a catcher, they're gonna let him go. But I still don't think. Well, the night we saw the Tigers play, we saw some very lazy play out of the catcher. Not Gracie Griner.
There's another hit, 6-5 now.
I'm not watching now, Jack. You're jinxing me. You're jinxing me. But let's face it.
Tom just said, "Can we put the soccer back on?"
Yeah, we should have left it off, right?
Yeah.
But no. The Tigers are making moves now, again, to get older players out of the way and let younger players play. Now, whether the younger players are going to do it, we'll see. And also, Buck Farmer was brought back to the Tigers from Mudhead because he's supposedly pitching better. So we'll see.
Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We will be back in just a minute. We're going to have our U.S. Open preview. Brian Harris from Forest Acres is scheduled to join us, and Burton Smith will be here. And I think we're going to have Bob Fossum with us by phone, Alex. So looking forward to that, and we will preview this week's action at Torrey Pines. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
Call it a sense of purpose, a higher calling, essential to our children's future. We call it our passion at Dean Transportation. We are a family, hardworking folks who for more than 60 years have connected children to learning, schools to our communities, and you to a better career, pioneering the best in health and safety standards, because it's simply what we do, because safe student transportation has always been essential. Dean is now hiring community-focused individuals for immediate school bus driver, attendant, and mechanic positions for local schools throughout mid-Michigan. To learn more, visit jobs@dean.com/Lansing. Experienced applicants will receive up to a $750 sign-on bonus. For individuals with no prior experience, Dean will pay you to train. Positions may also allow you to start and stop work from local parking locations or your home throughout mid-Michigan. If you're looking to make the community a better place, we'll put you in the driver's seat. Join the Dean Transportation family today at jobs@dean.com/Lansing.
Welcome to Be the Referee with veteran MHSAA official Sam Davis.
One of the long-term strategies in the game of football is deception. It has a lot of other names and most often goes these days by the name of trickery. Catching an opponent off guard can break a game wide open, but catching the officiating crew off guard is something you don't want to have happen, or else your big play may be blown dead inadvertently. That's why during the pregame meeting the officiating crew has with each head coach, one of the questions that will be asked is, Coach, do you have any trick plays that we should be watching for? And coaches, who are usually tight-lipped about a lot of their strategies, will be very open and describe in detail anything fancy that's in the playbook for that game. This type of communication gets coaches and officials on the same page and ensures that when trickery comes visiting, only the opponents are surprised.
Thanks, Sam. You can be a referee. Go online now to MHSAA.com to register. Be the Referee is a production of the MHSAA Network.
Thinking of a new air conditioning unit for your home? Hi, Peggy Doty with Doty Mechanical. A new Carrier high-efficiency AC unit will lower your energy usage and increase your home comfort. Current Carrier Cool Cash offers and available utility rebates mean your savings have never been better.
Call Doty Mechanical today at 327-7777 or visit us at dotymechanical.com for your free estimate. For heating and cooling, the names to know, Doty Mechanical and Carrier, turn to the experts.
Live across the Great Lakes State, you're connected to Michigan's most engaging and influential radio and television program, Michigan's Big Show, starring Michael Patrick Shields.
Great to be with you, Michael Patrick. You're the show I would want to be on. Forget those other ones.
Michael Patrick, it's always a pleasure to be on the air with the King of the Airwaves. Thanks for having me on again.
That's a very good question.
Those are all great questions. Good morning.
Thank you. Michigan's Michael Patrick Shields.
New York City will honor healthcare heroes and other essential workers with a huge ticker tape parade July 7th. Mayor de Blasio says it'll be the first true large parade in the city since the pandemic began.
The people kept us alive. The people kept the city going no matter what. We are going to hold a parade.
Researchers at Yale University are looking at the role warmer weather plays in the spread of COVID-19. A new study in the journal Nature Communication found that temperatures of more than 68 degrees combined with high humidity and increased UV radiation can lead to a moderately lower number of new infections in a single person. But researchers are also quick to point out that public health measures like vaccination, mask wearing, and social distancing are still the best ways to prevent infection. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
I'm Tony Cuthbert with your Spotlight Sports Update. The Tigers held on for a 4-3 win over the Royals in Kansas City last night. Jonathan Scope smacked a 2-run shot and Casey Mize notched his 4th win of the season. Detroit goes for the series sweep this afternoon, sending Tarek Skubal to the mound against Kansas City's Brady Singer. The Tigers made several roster moves yesterday, including placing pitchers Matthew Boyd and Alex Lang on the 10-day injured list. Detroit called up relievers Willie Peralta and Miguel Del Pozo and designated Bo Burrows and catcher Wilson Ramos for assignment. The Tigers also called up star pitching prospect Matt Manning. And Kevin Durant played every minute of Game 5 as he tallied 49 points, 17 boards, and 10 assists in the Nets' 114-108 win over the Bucks. Tonight, the Clippers take on the Jazz, and the Hawks visit the 76ers.
You're listening to The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Just trying to grind through camp here. Good fundamentals, build our conditioning, just keep getting better every day.
SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, the Spotlight Radio Network. Alex, let's start a little more golf coverage. And before we bring in our first special guest on the phone, very happy to have here in studio the great Burton Smith, our golf historian. And Bert, before we get a chance for you to make picks, we want to welcome in Brian Harris. And he is course manager at Professional at Forest Acres and Golf MSU. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, good evening, Jack. Great. How are you?
Doing fine. First of all, thought it was interesting that Michigan State player is leading the Michigan Open at this point. We had a chance to talk with him just a few minutes ago. Does that surprise you? I don't think that people would have said, oh, Smithson, he's a tournament favorite.
No, Bradley's a really good player. Obviously, his dad is a golf professional in the state of Michigan, too. So Gary's been a great player. Bradley's following in his footsteps. I think they nickname him like the big unit or something. He's a big, tall, strong kid. So really nice player. It's nice to see him doing well through the first 3 rounds.
All right. What about the 4 rounds this week at Torrey Pines? First of all, what can you tell us about the course?
Well, I've had the privilege of playing one time.
Okay.
And it's long, it's hard, and we all know that the U.S. Open will have really tall rough, really firm greens, especially this time of year because it's been dry out west. So it's going to be a challenge. It could be fun to watch. Hopefully the USGA has set up the golf course so that the players can make some birdies so that we can have a fun time watching it on TV and that we're just not watching guys chip and putt it all weekend.
What do you think the winning score will be? The USGA notoriously stingy in terms of course setup and even par. What do you think will win it?
I think 6 to 8 under will be the number this year.
Wow.
I think they'll let them have a bit of fun. So hopefully something under par, around that ballpark will be a good score for the winner this year.
Do you think any player will be under par in all 4 rounds?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, there's got to be somebody that'll be able to do it. Somebody will shoot a couple under, 1 to 2, 3 under each day, I think. So I think we'll see it.
Okay.
So, these guys are just getting better and better every week and every year that they play. So they figure out how to get the ball in the hole and, as few shots as possible.
I don't know if you're allowed to wager in your current position, but I was going to bet you a burger over at your snack shop there. And I'll say that no player is under par for all 4 rounds.
Okay. I'll take that with you.
Okay. Deal. All right. What about your picks? And Burton is probably recording these. We love to keep track of who says what. And one of the reasons we like to have you on to do this is you routinely have somebody that we say, huh? And sometimes they actually show up on the leaderboard. You've been pretty good at that. So who do you have winning this thing?
So I like John Rahm. I think John Rahm, off his layoff, if he even had one since Memorial, is going to come out a little fiery and play and have a good week. And then I also like Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed
plays really well on tough golf courses. Mm-hmm. He has won at Torrey Pines. I think he's going to do a really good job. And then if there is anybody that's kind of under the radar, Victor Hovland,
okay,
I think would be a kind of a dark horse, even though he's kind of well known that as long as he can chip the ball, he's a terrible chipper. the ball short shots, but I think that he's got the game to. He hits it good enough to get around the golf course and give himself chances to make birdies.
Okay, so can we say that you have Rahm, Reed, and Hovland as your top three?
Those are my top three.
Okay. Can you give us a typical Brian Harris long shot? Someone who might make the top 10 that we would not normally expect to be playing on Sunday.
Ian Poulter.
Ooh.
We're going to go Ian Poulter. He's played well the last couple weeks.
Bert is nodding affirmatively, yes.
He likes major tournaments. I think he gets kind of up for the big ones, and I think he'd be one that can finish in the top 10 this week.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. We will record that duly, and I will be back in touch with you next week.
Sounds great.
All right. We're going to have Bob Fossum join us in just a moment, and looking forward to that. I don't know if I gave you that number, Alex. You have it? Okay. We're going to dial Bob. Bob was going to be here in studio, and I don't know, Bert, if you've intimidated him, if he doesn't want to face us, but he did win the PGA predictions.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yes, he did.
So it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be fear on his part.
No.
And, we don't have Tiger Woods in the field, so he doesn't have to worry about that, which he did a couple years ago when Tiger Woods won the Masters, and then we didn't hear from Bob for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, he might be afraid to pay for parking.
He might not have any money left, depending on how that all worked out. Before Bob joins us, in terms of U.S. Opens, do you find a different caliber of player winning that than any other majors? You're a historian, and you know who's won all these tournaments going way back. Some people say that to win a U.S. Open, it takes a different kind of player.
Mm-hmm. I think it does. I think it takes somebody that's mentally strong for 4 rounds. I think it's someone that understands that the field is essentially defined by the players who have won majors, and particularly U.S. Opens.
All right. We have Bob Fossum with us. Bob, how are you?
Good, Jack. How you doing?
Good. Bert was expecting you to be here. He has some money for you, but we've already spent it, so don't worry about that. Yeah. Want to talk about this tournament and Torrey Pines. When you think about that, what comes to mind? How familiar are you with it?
Only watching it every year for, they call it the Farmers now, and but way back in the day when we started watching it, what was it, the Andy Williams?
Yes.
Right.
But so we've been watching it a long time, and so we're pretty familiar with it, even though we aren't as familiar as we should be. And so it seems to me it's a kind of a, it's a redo, Reese Jones for the 08 Open. Except for 18 and maybe 17 or 16, you don't really remember the course too well, which is too bad for the viewers, but it should be beautiful. It's obviously going to be hard. The rough's going to be up around the greens, I think, more than even around the fairways. But, we're looking for we got a lot of guys who can win, so it should be interesting. It's so much fun to watch it at night too. So,
all right, what do each of you think of the bet I just made with Brian Harris at Forest Acres? Bert, we'll start with you. Am I in good shape saying that no player will be under par in all 4 rounds?
I think so. I think that it takes a lot, and particularly if you're talking 6 under or 8 under.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying to win. It's just Torrey being as long as it is, and the weather being what it can be, and the greens being as fast, it's going to take a lot for a person to be under par for 4 rounds.
Bob, what is the winning score going to be, and will anyone be subpar every day?
No, I don't think the winner shoots 4 under par rounds. I think 3 or 4 under is going to be kind of where it's at. I think if you shoot, keep it par. If you shot 1 over one day and that was your worst score, and the rest were par or under, you're going to be in it. So, but I don't think under par for each round for the winner. No, I don't think so. So you made a good bet, yeah.
There are a lot of ways to bet on golf now. And, Bob, you're a DraftKings guy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I do a lot of things with William Hill and PointsBet.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah. And truth be told, in the interest of full disclosure, I did win $1,000 when Phil Mickelson won the PGA. So I'm still dealing with that. Yeah.
A lot of house money.
Yeah, but I haven't done anything yet. I will tonight, and looking at some of these options. But PointsBet in particular has a lot of these props and boosts and things. And they have one that I find interesting with Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka and their rivalry. And, Bert, who finishes with a lower 72-hole score of those two?
You're talking... Between
you love to do
DeChambeau
this. You always
Brooks
hit me with this.
Yeah.
This guy, or this guy.
Well, DeChambeau's from California, so I'll say him.
Okay. Bob, not wanting you to give away all of your picks before you make them, but which of those two do you think will finish better?
I just think it's, he's the defending champ. It's just hard, and it's only 9 months ago or shorter. I just think it's hard to do that again. And I think Koepka, quietly, I think, not quietly, but finished second at the PGA. I'd take Koepka.
The USGA chose not to do this, but would you have liked to see those guys paired for the first two rounds?
No, not me.
Bob's saying no. Bert's nodding. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, just leave it alone. I mean, they don't need it. Let them play good together, and play on the weekend, and that would be fine. And I think then you'd have a great pairing, but not the first two rounds.
Okay, Bert, who is going to lead this tournament in driving distance? The measurable holes.
Well, I said DeChambeau, but because he did last year at Wingfoot. And I think he wants to. I think that
will he? That's the question.
Between him and Koepka,
of the whole field.
Yeah, I think he will.
You will. Who's the longest driver in the U.S. Open, Bob?
Well, Ryan Brem's not in the U.S. Open, but he would be the longest driver. There we're talking about. I don't know if he's a kid or a guy from Europe that just mashes the ball, and I can't remember his name, but it might be this kid. I'm not sure who it is, but I don't think it's going to be DeChambeau.
All right, let's get down to it. And Bob, since you won for the PGA between the two of you, let's let you have the first pick. And then Bert will get two, you'll get two, and Bert will get the final selection. Who's your first round draft choice?
Well, and everybody's kind of going chalk here with Rahm or Koepka or Mac, and I'm kind of off the beaten path a little bit. And even though it would be hard to do a double because he won it in February, but I don't particularly like him, but I'll take Patrick Reed.
Ooh, okay. Well, Patrick Reed and
Brian Harris.
Yes, Brian Harris had him finishing second behind Rahm. So, a guy that the gallery normally doesn't embrace, and they might be stomping on his ball in the rough if they get a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, Bert, you got two picks.
Well, I'll take I'll take DeChambeau and Koepka.
Okay. Oh, you're taking them both?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. As long as they don't have to play together in that last group, that makes sense.
That would be okay, though. Now that would be good. I'd love that. Too.
Yeah, that's what Bob is looking at. He's not looking at the preliminaries for the first two rounds. He's looking at the main event for the last two rounds.
Bob, you get two picks. Choices 4 and 5.
Well, that does leave me with Rahm then. So even though I'll take Rahm just because I think maybe there's some karma. He loves the golf course. He proposed to his wife there, and all the stories that they both love San Diego. I'll take him. And my long shot, I was kind of throwing in there Paul Casey. I'll take for my other one.
Paul Casey. Now there's one I hadn't thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have Rahm and Casey to go with Reed.
Yes.
Right? All right, Reed, Rahm, and Casey. Sounds like a law firm. What do you have, Bert? Who's your last selection?
I'll take Xander Schauffele, local guy.
Oh. Okay. Well, I have another bet here that I've accepted grudgingly, but I got 3.5 to 1 odds on it.
Ooh.
And I took
that's always
Michaelson to finish over Schauffele. I wouldn't have taken it even up.
Well,
but 3.5 to 1, I
That's
couldn't
not
pass
bad.
it up, right?
Mickelson's my long dart horse to pick. So, after all, he doesn't have a U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And he did win the PGA.
Would that be the best win ever?
Yes.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Most certainly would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put that even ahead of Tiger winning at 2019.
Yeah, because of the back-to-back factor, or
You
because
mean ahead of Jack in '86?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure would.
I knew Bob was going to clarify that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and it would give him the career Grand Slam.
At 50. Yeah.
51.
That's correct, because
50,
his
yeah.
birthday's
Yes.
that weekend. Yeah.
And the fact
birthday
that
was
it's
today.
another
Yeah, it is
left-handed
today.
player, Bob, does not enter into this with Bert. But,
Not at all.
okay.
Yeah.
Because Garrett Higgo won last week.
Okay, so now I always take 3 guys after you 2 are done. Okay, so I basically have the field. But nobody took Dustin Johnson, right?
Nope.
Okay. Nobody took JT?
Nope.
Justin Thomas is still on the board?
Jordan Spieth, too.
Yeah.
You could have McElroy too.
I could, but I don't want to go necessarily that way. And Jordan Spieth, he scares me. So how about, I can't decide between Patrick Cantlay and Colin Morikawa.
Notice how none of us are picking Matsuyama, the Masters champ.
Yeah. And Victor Hovland, I like.
Yeah, well,
too.
Victor Hovland got picked by Brian. So.
Yeah. I'm going to take Patrick Cantlay.
Okay.
Okay, for my third pick on this.
The Memorial champ via playoff.
Yeah. So this is now an NBC event, as it used to be, and Fox is out of the golf business. Read something.
Thank goodness.
Yes. Read something with Joe Buck, and he was like, phew. He did the best he could. I thought he really studied, really prepared, but it wasn't
No
Fox.
help.
No, it wasn't Fox's thing. They just
They
were
just threw the money in the pot and
Yeah.
said, let's see if we can do this.
Yeah.
too."
And NBC was willing to bail him out, and I think we're better off. Will you miss Johnny Miller, Bob?
Yeah, actually I do. I don't think Azier brings too much to the table. He's okay. But Miller just kind of knew stuff that other guys didn't know in the booth, and so I kind of miss Miller a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a U.S. Open champion, and it's kind of hard not to have him there, specifically because of the fact that he's also from California, so he would provide a better insight. And he did win at Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
So,
Bert, if there were one player from the past and can be living or dead, okay, you can bring him back from the grave, and you would like to hear golf commentary on Sunday, sitting in that chair where Azinger's going to be, who would you most like to provide the commentary with Dan Hicks?
ooh. Well, I'd pick California Ken Venturi because he won a U.S. Open too.
Okay. That's not bad. I don't know. I remember him from Masters commentary. He was a little dry.
Yeah.
Bob, who would you most like to hear on Sunday talking about this round and the players?
Do we have to pick somebody that actually had television when he played?
Nope.
Walter Hagen.
Walter Hagen. Okay. I've asked this question to a few people, and one guy says he really wanted to hear John Daly. I said, no.
He won at Torrey Pines, too.
Did he?
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
I would like to have heard Payne Stewart. I think he would give a little different perspective, and he would be opinionated. Right?
It was like a Peter Jacobson, Payne Stewart kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, nonetheless. Bob, I want to ask you about the Michigan Open here. And Ryan Smithson, Michigan State sophomore, did not have a season of note. But, hey, here he is, and he's leading. He's 12 under par up at Grand Traverse, 18 holes to go. We just had him on for about 5 minutes. And he's playing out of his mind. He'll wake up before he's done tomorrow. But what is it like now for a guy who has never been in that position, be leading the Michigan Open, and he can't even take the prize money?
It'll be difficult. I guess I'll harken back to I think it was 86. I played the first 2 rounds at the Michigan Open at the Bear and was paired in the last round for the 3rd round with Jack Seltzer and, God, it might have even been Lynn Jansen or something. I was 24 years old, hadn't turned pro yet, and I played awful and felt it. I wasn't as good as these guys,
right.
But this kid seems like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully he comes through and he plays good. The Bear, we play the Open there a bunch of years in a row, and I love playing it because it's a great competitors. It's a tournament golf course, and the better players usually come out on top. And if he's playing well, hopefully he can keep it going and do it. But it'll be interesting. He'll be nervous, and I haven't looked at the leaderboard, so I don't know who's right behind him. But but hopefully he pulls it out. But he'll have nerves, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's got a past champion, and he's got a teaching pro and a former assistant coach at U of M behind him. So he's got a couple players who have been around. They know what they're doing a little bit.
Right.
Yep. Bert, you also played college golf, right? Princeton.
That's correct.
Exceptional performance there. But when you think about what a college sophomore is going to be doing tonight, how does he clear his mind?
Well, in that case, since he's the son of a PGA pro, obviously, he's had these conversations with his father. So it's going to be one of these cases where they have a little more than common knowledge, and I think he's just going to have to make sure that he focuses in and plays one shot at a time.
So how does a guy go from being a player but not a star on his college team to being leading the Michigan Open at 12 under par?
If you're asking me as opposed to Bob Fossum?
I'm asking both of you, but start with you.
Okay. It's hard work, and there are no shortcuts. And obviously, I think he's played the Bear more often than a few other folks. So there might be some local knowledge involved there.
Bob, how's he doing it? And if you were him, what would you do tonight?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. You just maybe hopefully you get some hanging with your buddies, and, maybe you're just, watch some U.S. Open highlights, or you're watching an NBA game or something, but you're just taking it easy, and you're trying not to do anything that disrupts what you've been doing for the last 3 days. I mean, we're creatures of habit a little bit, golfers, and if we're playing good, we tend to go to the same place to eat, do the same thing at night, and all that stuff.
Is that a superstition? Are you superstitious, Bob?
A little bit that way. I used to be. Let's just keep the same rhythm going and do the same things you were doing, and hopefully that keeps you more comfortable than, and you keep playing well. So hopefully that's what he'll be doing.
I got that 30-second Walter Hagen joke with regard to the last round. Remember that one where someone unknown was leading and Walter Hagen was out having the time of his life Saturday night, and I said, well, the guy's probably in bed. And Walter goes, yeah, he may be in bed, but he ain't asleep.
Right. Right.
Well, maybe that's the key. Not telling Ryan what to do, but, Well, it'll be fun to watch that and see if he can finish the job. And all the attention has been on James Pyatt with his performance the NCAA tournament. And then you think about he's got Ryan Smithson. So, hey, maybe there's some things going on in Michigan State golf. And have you guys had a good look at that new short game facility off of Harrison?
You mean like what used to be the old practice lane that they all worked on?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, they throw a few ducats in the bucket there. So,
yeah.
I would imagine that's what they're going to need to, to attract the talent to play college golf.
Michigan State's been very fortunate, Bob, between, I think, Scandalaris and, of course, Rick Lash has been an incredible benefactor. So, hey, thanks to both of you for coming in, and we'll track your picks. Also, Carlin Valentine, Tom Lang, Carlos Menares, Jim Stark, and Brian Harris. Have a great night, everyone.